Sniper Killer stands out as one of the more compelling indie horror games I've played recently. Even through all of its issues, and trust me, there are issues, this game has left a bigger impact on me than most of the big-budget AAA titles that flood the market today, which is both impressive and a little concerning. Sniper Killer was created by Jordan King and some guy named Henry...
Horror.
Alright. And it's published by Torture Star. They're known for releasing a lot of these retro indie horror games like the one in this video. It shares a resemblance to games like Condemned Criminal Origins, or movies like Zodiac and Silence of the Lambs. And while I'd love to dive into Sniper Killer right now, you can't fully examine it without playing its predecessor, Bloodwash. Bloodwash starts you off from the perspective of a young woman named Sarah. Judging by the state of her apartment, it seems like she's not living under great conditions, especially with her boyfriend trashing the apartment and throwing up in the bathroom. That's even more unfortunate given that she's pregnant, and probably not the best conditions for a newborn.
I'll gather these clothes up and head to the laundry room in the basement. I'm going to have to talk to Liam later. I'm too upset and tired to go through it again. He's going to have to pull it together for this baby.
After collecting the dirty laundry that's scattered around the apartment, we run down to the basement of our building to find that the washer and dryer are broken. After coming back upstairs, we run into our neighbor, Stan, one of many characters we'll get to interact with throughout the game. He recommends a 24/7 laundromat just outside of town.
Well, if it's an emergency, I heard of this laundromat that's open 24/7, just outside of town. Still early enough to catch the last bus.
And if you need a reminder that this is a horror game, it turns out that there's some kind of maniac on the loose, as Stan puts it.
It's a hell of a time to be out so late, especially with that maniac roaming around.
As we're on our way to leave the apartment, now's as good of a time as any to mention the visuals. And while I like the retro aesthetic, sometimes it does border on just being ugly. I can excuse this though, because the visuals in Sniper Killer would go on to be a little more unique and refined, which I'll talk about more once we actually get to that game. We make our way outside. It seems like we're the only ones out this late besides this peculiar car outside of our apartment building. The bus arrives, and after a questionable conversation with the driver, we take our seats.
Hey, if you're looking to score, I have a good deal just for a pretty little thing like you. You won't even have to pay cash, if you know what I mean.
After a short while, another man boards the bus. He doesn't do a very good job of easing our nerves.
Hello. May I sit beside you?
There's plenty of other seats, so I don't see why you would need to do that.
You're going to die tonight. I've seen it. Tonight is your last night on Earth. You are walking straight into your doom. Can't you see that? You and that child inside you.
Surprisingly, he's a recurring character in both of these games, and takes on a role sort of similar to G-Man from Half-Life, but only grosser and a lot less subtle. After playing the second game, it seems like he plays a bigger role in the greater lore of this world, but I'll touch on that when the time comes. We finally arrive at the laundromat. We make our way over and... weird, that looks like the same car from before. Well, anyway, we make our way inside, and are immediately greeted by a not-so-friendly employee.
We're open all night, but I take my naps at midnight, so you better not need anything after that.
There's a knockoff Game Boy sitting in the Lost and Found, which we can actually pick up. This is just one of a surprising amount of collectibles you can find in this game, the majority of the others being comic books scattered around that you can actually read. Before starting our laundry, we make small talk with another guy in the laundromat. He tells us about the apparent fire that burnt down the other laundromat next door. According to him, it sounds like there's something more nefarious going on as well. An employee died in that fire, and it seems like it may not have been an accident.
Girl died in that fire, too. An employee. Pretty mysterious. The way she died, I mean. It wasn't a fire that started quickly. She should have had plenty of time to get out. But she was found in the office. I heard they were close to opening up a murder investigation. That a detective thought the girl was locked in. But then decided to drop it when nobody came up.
Most importantly, we're finally given the name of the crazed person who's on the loose that Stan mentioned.
Well, if that's true, it does sound pretty suspect.
Sure does. Feels like it got swept under the rug pretty quick, what with the womb ripper coming around and butchering those women.
Hey look, we can watch the TV, that's fun. While we wait for our laundry to finish, we step outside to go explore the other stores that are nearby, and are immediately greeted with the most obvious sign that this Sarah woman needs to just call it quits and go home. The first store we check out is the appliance store at the furthest end. Here is where we find the most businessman-looking businessman I have ever seen, fittingly named Greasy Manager.
Well then, why don't you just buy a washer and dryer here? We have the newest models at the lowest prices.
No offense, but I feel like you're the newest thing in the store.
Why, thank you. I do take pride in my appearances.
He seems to be in his full Mr. Krabs mode, because at this point, he only seems interested in selling us his wares. Moving on to our next destination, we pop into the pizza place next door. But unfortunately for us, they're closing soon, so with nothing else to do here, we leave. As you can probably tell, these games are very much walking simulators, and while that doesn't always work for other games, the mixture of the short length of these plus a solid story means that while the gameplay is simple, it works well enough for what they're going for. Before entering the next store, we explore the outside a little bit, finding a sticky note with a 4-digit code on it. Taking it back to the appliance store, we open up a chest with a photo in it. After asking around, we learn a few things. The girl in the photo is someone named Samantha Rhodes, and after taking the photo to the owner of the video store nearby, we learn that the guy in the photo is named Lewis, and he used to own the laundromat that burnt down, and by using common sense, we can deduce that Samantha was the girl that died in that fire, and her boyfriend Lewis might have had something to do with it. Doesn't this guy look exactly like Voldemort from Sorcerer's Stone? We keep the progress going on our laundry, and after grabbing a key that mysteriously showed up on the front counter, we're able to unlock the bathrooms, finding a report about Lewis and his apparent public intoxication. Along with that, we find a phone number that we'll call later, and... yeah, that's not creepy at all. We leave the bathroom and... Oh, come on, who put that there?
He's just standing there, menacingly!
Well, anyway, we call the number we found and discover that it's a sort of phone sex line. After a weirdly wholesome conversation with the woman on the other end...
Damn it, I'm sorry. This is my first night on the job. I don't think it's for me.
She desperately warns us after learning where we're calling from, and tells us to just go home.
I know one of the girls who went missing. She disappeared around that area, and I'm telling you that you should really just go home. There's more to it than just the stalking and killing. It's a real psychopath, and you are right in the middle of its hunting ground. Do you understand?
Of course, because this is a horror game, our protagonist Sarah doesn't listen and just decides to stay. As we're exploring some more, we run into an elderly woman who doesn't seem entirely there. She says we share a resemblance to someone who is presumably her daughter. It's a little ambiguous if this person is Samantha or someone else entirely.
You look just like her.
Who?
Same eyes, same hair. Oh, she used to be so beautiful.
We go to check how much longer our laundry has in the dryer. And yep, the clothes dry in real time. So I literally just went on my phone while I finished up. It turns out my time was properly wasted because the machine had been broken this entire time. We go up to the counter to go full Karen at the guy and... Uh-oh. That doesn't look good. We go to investigate and find that the only employee here has been brutally murdered. We call 911 when the line abruptly cuts.
Hello? My name is Sarah. You need to send someone now. I'm at the...
We switch our perspective to a guy named Officer Burton. Crying is heard from the offices next to the pizza place.
Dispatch said they got a call coming from out here, but it's strange. I can't seem to be able to find anyone. Wait a minute. Is that someone crying?
And this is when the game gets properly scary for the first time. These games are pretty restrained in terms of when they attempt to actually scare you, but when they do, it's really effective. We explore further, going into the back offices, and finally meeting the Womb River for the first time.
What the fuck was that?
Our first meeting with them is as horrific as you would think it would be. The power goes out and they disappear. So we pull out our gun and flashlight and continue our search through the building. After a while of walking around and searching through rooms, we run into an office worker who's very thankful to see us. Although it's unlucky for him that we're apparently the worst cop in existence because we kind of just watch him die instead of actually shooting the Womb River. Regardless, we make our way into the air vents in an attempt to escape until our officer finally meets his end at the hands of the Womb River. We switch back to the perspective of Sarah, and almost immediately witness the gruesome murder of that nice guy we met. The front door has been locked, so after venturing through the building once again in an attempt to escape, we find a secret door.
Secret room!
We enter the back of the store, and while making our way through, we find a newspaper stating that Lewis has gone missing, and he's the lead suspect of a murder. This just keeps getting worse, doesn't it? Well, it actually does, because almost immediately after, we find a creepy wall full of missing posters. And even worse, the Womb Ripper is officially trying to make us another victim. We do not want to end up like the others, so after moving this filing cabinet, revealing a secret passageway, we run for our lives. As we're making our way through all of this machinery, we find... oh no. We find a letter that explains that the killer focuses their efforts on killing pregnant women, and even worse, wearing the skin of the dead babies. At the very least, the writer of the note revealed that she swallowed the key out of here in the hopes that someone else would come along and retrieve it, as they knew that they didn't have much time left. Going back to the corpse we found, we cut it open, grabbing the key and continuing our adventure through this nightmare. Shortly after, we stumble upon the body of Lewis. So if he's not the Womb Ripper, then who is? Along with Lewis, we find other dead bodies, their stomachs ripped open. We come across a gun, presumably belonging to Officer Burton. We use the gun to shoot off a lock and make our way into the basement. We're ready to take on the Womb Ripper ourselves. In a very Silence of the Lambs-esque climax, this horror sequence is super effective. The mixture of the darkness, not knowing where the killer is, and the screams of the Womb Ripper when you shoot them really made it work for me. After a few attempts to shoot the killer and some more grotesque discoveries, we finally managed to take down the Womb Ripper. In an exposition dump, we learned that the Womb Ripper was Samantha all along. Lewis locked her in the laundromat and burned it down in an attempt to kill Samantha. Unfortunately, the only person who died in that fire was Samantha's unborn baby. Samantha survived the fire and killed Lewis in revenge. Ever since that incident, Samantha has been murdering innocent pregnant women in an attempt to inflict the same pain that she once felt onto other people. After the credits roll, we're brought into a sort of epilogue. Samantha's body is about to undergo an autopsy. Even the person performing the autopsy thinks it's weird that Samantha was able to survive so many gunshots. Right after we begin, having already cut her open, the power goes out, because of course it does. After we've restored the power, we head back to discover that Samantha's body is gone. Oh no, I hope she doesn't come back from the dead. Oh no! And that's Bloodwash. Although I have some criticisms regarding both the gameplay and writing, most of these issues are addressed in its sequel, Sniper Killer. By itself, Bloodwash is a solid horror game, with a story that, while not very nuanced, effectively creates its own unique world and atmosphere. While it had issues, Bloodwash served as a solid foundation for its sequel to build off of. In my opinion, Sniper Killer is an improvement on the first in pretty much every way, leaning even further into the crime thriller feel and crafting a story with a bit more nuance than its predecessor. It also has a story with way more to talk about than Bloodwash, so let's get into it. Sniper Killer starts from the perspective of a woman named Pamela. It's kind of ambiguous as to what her actual job is, but at a bare minimum, she's taken on a modeling gig to hopefully earn some easy cash, presumably fallen on hard times.
I can't believe I'm doing this. How desperate can you get?
Immediately, you can already see the improvements in the visuals, aesthetically at least. With a more creative use of lighting and color, this game has a much more vibrant and inspired visual style, really just making better use of the aesthetic in general. We make our way through the apartment building, and... well, anyway, we finally make it to the apartment where the shoot is taking place. We enter, and as you should probably expect by now, we're given just as weird of a greeting as ever.
Ah, guten Tag. Yes, you'll be perfect.
The first character we meet, Hans, is already a sign that this game will carry the same strange and creepy character archetypes that were in Bloodwash. From the little information that he provides us, he's presumably some sort of German mad scientist with a questionable backstory. And as to what he intends to do with these pictures is beyond me. Nevertheless, we do as he asks and enter his closet to change into our attire for the shoot. Given what he wants us to wear, the concept for this photo shoot is already getting away from me, honestly.
Put the pillow underneath your shirt.
Okay.
We get in place and finally begin. Hans's motivation behind this photo shoot just keeps getting more convoluted.
If you had created a monster made from corpses and given it life, inadvertently causing it to destroy our whole village and cause you to flee forever from your homeland. Yeah, do that.
None of this really matters because of what's about to happen. There's a knock at the door, so Hans goes to check what it's about. Silence. For a brief moment, we're left alone with our thoughts. At first, we're led to believe that Hans might be the real villain here. With all of the creepy things he kept throwing our way, how could he not be? Well, we'll soon find out that the evil in this game is a mystery much deeper than this. With the racking of a bolt, a figure in the shadow shoots Pamela, killing her.
Smile for the camera.
We can only assume that Hans is dead as well. We take on the perspective of the killer returning to his house. This game utilizes the changing of perspective a lot throughout the story, and while that might make for a messy presentation in a different game, it's utilized really well here and adds a lot of variety. This is the killer's apartment, and before we continue with our business, we put away our rifle, a ritual we'll do every time we come back to this place. We can interact with various things in this space, like this top secret folder. He references a headquarters that he belongs to, and it seems like the killing of Pamela was some kind of mission. While I can't talk about it too much yet, if Bloodwash taught us anything, it's that there's always more than meets the eye. Walking over to the answering machine, we find a message left by someone named Jeff.
Hey man, it's Jeff, from the factory. Hey, I heard that you quit last week. Hope you're doing okay. Kinda miss you now that it's just me and the Lemcats. Well, give me a call soon, man. Maybe we can get a drink and watch the game sometime.
This is the first sign that this character might have lived a previous life prior to the murderous one he lives now. He acts like he's our friend, worried about us even. But according to our killer, Jeff is a nobody, a nuisance even. Moving on from that, we step outside to explore a bit. He seemingly doesn't like to look at himself in the mirror anymore, possibly because he won't recognize himself. Or maybe he's afraid of what he knows is already there. At the moment, there isn't too much to interact with outside, although that'll change in the future. Re-entering the house, we're introduced to who is arguably the most interesting character in the game, that being the walkie-talkie.
Agent, new orders directly from the Pentagon. Make your way towards the Fun Side Carnival. You will receive further information upon your arrival.
It'll give us orders throughout the game whenever we take on the role of the killer. The reality of who is actually speaking to us is ambiguous even up until the very end, although I do think I have a theory as to who or what it is. Before I spoil too much, after receiving our orders, we grab our rifle and head to the carnival. We're told that our target is someone wearing a wolf costume, so as to not waste time, we begin our search. And almost immediately upon entering the carnival, we spot our target. The idea of targets possibly being sheep in wolf's clothing is something you'll be debating the entire game. And by the end, it's up to you to decide what the consequences of these actions truly are. Before we continue with the mission, we take a detour to explore the carnival a bit. I already regret it though, because the first guy we talked to is arguably even creepier than Hans was.
But a single kiss and I can tell you how you will die.
Getting very far away from that weirdo, we walk over to a security guard who's desperate for a bite to eat. As far as I know, this doesn't really do anything, but if you want, you can go and grab him a hot dog, just as a little side quest, I guess. Someone we already know is here, actually. The owner of the appliance store from Bloodwash seems to have shifted gears after the events of that game. I guess it would be hard to bring customers to your store when people keep getting murdered right next to it. We use one of the carnival rides as our vantage point.
Much like the spy you had to intercept last week, they are responsible for the deaths of many innocents.
We're told to eliminate the target and only the target. Harming any other victims would result in a failure. Raising our rifle, we zone in on the target, taking the shot. We swap perspectives once again to a new character, Gale. Along with Gale, we are accompanied by our cameraman, Clyde. They're two journalism students investigating the murder of their friend Pamela, the woman we were playing as in the intro. All of the commotion from this most recent incident must have drawn Gale's attention, bringing us to the crime scene.
Ah, is this about Pamela?
Yeah.
I don't understand. You think this is related?
I don't know anything, Clyde. That's why we're here, to ask around, see what exactly happened.
We're lucky that this cop who's guarding the entrance doesn't have a care in the world about his job, because he has no issue letting us into an active crime scene. We enter the carnival, post-murder, where we can interact with a few of the witnesses that are still here. This is also where we meet my favorite character in the entire game.
Big Mo don't like this one bit. Cops crawling all over my business like ants to a goddamn picnic? Looks like I need to ditch the carnival game. Find something more peaceful, like a strip club or something.
Friends of the man who was killed cry over his death. It doesn't seem like he ever would have been the usual victim of something like this. It seems even crazier given what the person on the walkie told us. We finally walk over to where the man was shot. It's just as grotesque of a scene as you would think it would be. We speak with one of the detectives on the scene, Dutch. He's a bit of a hard ass and doesn't seem particularly interested in our own investigation. He's not happy that we're here causing even more commotion, especially since they were the same people who took over the Womb Ripper case from Bloodwash. And he doesn't want us getting people all riled up by openly talking about the new maniac that's on the loose.
Detective, I think there's a killer on the loose, and I doubt this is the last we'll see of him.
You can't just go around saying that. I mean, hell, we just wrapped up the Womb Ripper killings, and now you're saying that some maniac is running around the city with a rifle, shooting random people.
He doesn't seem very interested in answering any of our questions, so he shoos us away. Before we can make our way out of the carnival, the payphone next to the exit starts to ring.
You are looking for the sniper killer, yes?
Sniper killer? You mean the guy behind these murders?
East 7th Street, 2 a.m. tonight.
What do you know?
We will see you then, Miss Jenkins.
At the moment, we can only assume they want to give us information. The call ends, so we make our way to the exit before we're stopped by a man named Detective Camardi.
Excuse me, miss. The name's Carmody. Detective Carmody.
He's interested in why we're here, and wants to help, so he gives us his card. You're not supposed to know it yet, but he will go on to become arguably the most important character in the entire game. With our possible new lead, we grab Clyde and head over to the meeting spot. Clyde is justifiably more apprehensive about this than we are, although, being the good cameraman he is, he plays along anyway. While he's definitely committed to his role, he seems a little too interested in this sniper killer guy.
Like, what's his deal? Shooting people for no reason? I wonder what his origin story is.
Jesus, Clyde. He's not a comic book character.
Like, maybe he's an ex-Marine who snapped. Or maybe a hunter who got tired of hunting animals and has turned to...
I'm done with this conversation.
Now I'm starting to get a little suspicious of him. Was Clyde the real villain all along? Well, no, because after a bit of waiting around, this happens.
Clyde! Shit! I've got to get off the street!
Clyde is gunned down by the sniper killer. Bullets rain down on us as we run for safety, which takes us down into the subway. With the sniper killer on our trail, we fumble our way through, eventually hiding in a bathroom stall. We do the classic hide in a stall and try to stay quiet while the killer checks every other stall scene. The killer eventually gives up and leaves the bathroom, giving us an opportunity to escape. We managed to find a phone, so we used the card that Detective Camardi gave us to call him.
The killer! He's here with me! I'm on East 7th on the subway platform.
We'll send someone your way. See you soon, Gale.
While Gale doesn't give it a second thought, it's clear that there wasn't something quite right about the voice on the other end. Regardless, we hop on the train as it arrives. Unlucky for us, the only other person here seems to be preoccupied to be of any help to us. We're allowed a brief moment to collect our thoughts. With no other option, we take a seat. The lights go out, and nothing other than the sounds of the train can be heard. We sit in fear as we cling to hope that the lights will go back on and everything will be okay. Unfortunately for Gale, she turns her head to find the end of a rifle pointing at her. We return to the house, having swapped back to the perspective of the sniper killer. After putting away our rifle, we notice that our apartment is infested with these nasty insects. Grabbing some bug spray, we start going full Helldivers on these things.
Sweet liberty!
We clear out the house and then move into the backyard where we find more of them. After spraying the last group of bugs, our neighbor gives us a surprise introduction. Immediately, we can tell that something is off about this guy.
Oh,
you get the ants too, and the worms. Gosh, how they like to invade our spaces. It's good that you're putting a stop to that. Such invasive things. Don't be a stranger, neighbor. I'll see you soon.
He eventually leaves us be so we can get back to what we were doing. After getting back into the house, we check our answering machine once again.
Still haven't heard from you, so just making sure you're okay. I think you really should call me back soon.
This Jeff guy seems to be really concerned about us. Why does he seem to be so worried about someone who, according to the killer himself, seems not to be particularly close? We're notified by the walkie-talkie that we've been assigned a new mission. This time, we have to take out 2 targets.
You are the only one who can handle this. Start on Arthur Avenue and wait further instructions. Oh, an agent. Thank you for your service.
Grabbing our rifle, we get on our way to the location we'd been given.
Finally, almost home. Can't wait to get off these filthy streets and into a nice hot shower.
We start following a woman named Tiffany. Although, if you've been paying attention, then you know that we won't be staying in this perspective for long. This level gives off a really cool noir feel in the way that the city has been designed. Like I said at the beginning, this game uses color in a simple yet effective way. We make our way over to Tiffany's apartment, meeting our doorman Dave outside. This Tiffany person seems to be doing pretty well for herself, judging by the interior of this place. Dave accompanies us to the elevator. While he initially alleviates our concerns in regards to the sniper killer, he goes on to show a side of himself that makes us want to get out of this elevator as soon as possible.
Hey, you never know. Why, I could be a serial killer myself, ma'am. The unassuming polite doorman in an upscale complex. No one would suspect a thing while I carefully bide my time.
The power goes out almost on cue. Now's the time to really hope that this Dave guy doesn't have any bad intentions.
We scheduled an electrician to fix these damned outages. This has been happening all day. Gotta work out the kinks in these new buildings, huh?
3, 2, 1.
See, Miss Tiff? All is good in the world again.
The power returns, and we bid Dave farewell. Thankful that we made it out of there, we enter our apartment. But before we can settle in for the night, we go to water the plants that are on the balcony. We're nearly finished up until Tiffany finds herself to be the newest victim of the sniper killer. I guess she wasn't as safe in her high-rise apartment as she thought she was. Regaining control of the killer, we take our shot. Tiffany meets a brutal end, falling to the streets below. The walkie provides us our instructions for our next target, telling us to find and climb the nearby water tower. We nearly make it there before we fall into a back alley. With nowhere else to go, we enter the motel that's around the corner. Speaking to the clerk doesn't seem to get us anywhere.
You want a room or something? What are you, a dummy? Yeah, okay. Have a nice night, sir.
So we book it for the back door that leads to the roof.
Hey asshole, you don't have a room here, so how about you back the fuck up before you get smacked the fuck up? Dig?
The clerk doesn't seem happy about that though, given that we don't have a room here. Entering the bathroom, we spot an opportunity to cause a distraction, using a broom to lock this guy in the bathroom stall.
Yo, what the fuck? I'm trapped like a rat! Help!
While the clerk helps out in the bathroom, we take that as a chance to sneak up to the roof. We make it up to the water tower and are given the description of our next target.
Your target is below, hiding out as a member in the local gang.
We take aim and fire. This is where we take control of the real main character of this game, Detective Cromartie. Expect this guy to stick around for a lot longer than the others. Tiffany's body lays lifeless on the sidewalk. An EMT is on the scene, although his priorities seem to be elsewhere.
Real shame, isn't it? I was on my lunch break, and the pizza was delicious. Now it's all cold and soggy.
Walking over to Dutch, he briefs us on the 2 people who were murdered. With nothing to show any sort of strong motive, this sniper killer case just keeps getting more out of hand. Entering the building, we speak with doorman Dave. He's understandably in shock after the death of Tiffany. He probably wishes he left their last encounter on a less creepy note. We take the elevator up to Tiffany's apartment, having now turned into a crime scene. Cromartie is able to deduce that the location of the shooter was on the roof of the building across the street.
I better jog on to the second crime scene down the street. and see if I can confirm my suspicions.
After entering the elevator, the power goes out again. The doors open for a brief moment, and we can see something on the other side. You can't quite make out exactly what it is, but it's the first sign that Detective Cromartie might be able to see things that the people around him can't. We leave the apartment building and briefly speak to Dutch. He tells us to go investigate the other crime scene down the street where the gang member was killed. We make it down there to find one officer already on the scene, although he seems pretty disinterested and just wants to go home.
Hey, look who finally decided to grace us with his presence.
Can it, Chris? I'm not in the mood for your shit lips tonight.
Oh yeah, the old man's cranky. I can't get heads or tails out of these two. If it'd be up to me, I'd rule it a suicide and call it a day.
A regular Columbo over here. Move over and let a real cop get to work.
Cromartie already seems to know one of the witnesses, Jackie. This probably isn't the first time they've met. Although, due to these guys being a street gang, their other encounters were definitely under different circumstances. While Jackie does want to cooperate, he says that he wasn't paying attention when his friend, Dante, was shot. Somebody who did see what happened was another gang member, Robert. Apparently, he and Dante were pretty close. Robert isn't taking the death of Dante well, but after we tell him that the only way he'll get justice for his friend is to cooperate, he gives us some information. While he didn't see much, he was able to spot the sniper killer stationed on top of the water tower. With this new information, we make our way to where the shooter was, taking the same route that he did. We enter the same motel from before, and speak to the clerk. She isn't able to provide any substantial information given that the usual clientele that stays here could be described as unusual at best, so nobody really sticks out in her memory. Looking around the place, we notice that there's a security camera. We inquire about it to the clerk, but given that she's been just as bratty and unhelpful as she's always been,
I don't know. I'm pretty busy here, guy.
we give her a bit of a reality check so that she'll get us the footage from the camera. We head upstairs and are immediately greeted by some of the people staying here, one of which just seems to be annoyed that her sleep is getting interrupted, and the other seems to be that creepy guy from the carnival who is running the kissing booth. He doesn't tell us anything of note besides some insane ramblings.
I was finishing my shower. I smelled a fragrant eucalyptus and mint. My body fresh, reborn anew for the world. Emerged from the shower, and that's when I saw him. A tall man with black eyes, with white voids in the middle, smiling at me. I dropped my towel in horror, exposing myself to this thing. It laughed at me. Then it crawled up my wall and into the vents.
We finally make it onto the roof and climb up the water tower, finding a bullet casing on the floor, confirming the information that Robert gave us. The sniper killer was definitely here. After we get a jump scare that legitimately scared the shit out of me.
Yo, comedy!
Dutch tells us that he's got the security cam footage, but the quality isn't exactly up to par. So it'll take the guys back at the station a while to get the tape into a watchable state. We've got what we need, so we return to the station to examine the evidence we've gathered. Cutting back to the station, we go over some information. This office is essentially Cromartie's equivalent to the house, a place for him to gather his thoughts about the case. It's a good thing that the writing in this game has improved significantly since Bloodwash, because this game is 80% reading and listening to people talk. Going through the evidence, we're able to attach loose motives behind the killings of Gail and Clyde, taking them out of the equation so that they stop their investigation. Although, we still don't know why Tiffany and Dante were killed. While the evidence we've gathered isn't very substantial, Cromartie does manage to put together a solid theory. That being, the killer may have had some sort of special forces training, given his efficiency with a firearm. We switch back to the sniper killer. The walkie orders us to take out who they claim is an ex-KGB spy.
Agent, your target is an ex-KGB spy we have been hunting for the past 5 years. He's reported to be in the area.
It seems awfully convenient that every one of our targets are some sort of massive threat to national security. To aid us in this mission, we get a little surprise to go along with our rifle, a silencer. This is one aspect that I feel could have been expanded upon a bit. I'm perfectly fine with the simplicity of this game, though I think if we sporadically got different tools and gadgets throughout the story depending on who you're playing as, it would have added a little more depth to the gameplay. We traverse the outside of this factory while we look for a way in, shooting down this shipping container to help us get across. Environmental puzzles are another aspect that probably could have been expanded upon. We come across someone sitting outside, although we obviously can't leave any witnesses. We gain access to the factory, taking out 3 of the guards inside. Our target is sleeping outside behind the factory. He doesn't really seem like he's hurting anyone, but according to the walkie, he has to be taken out. We take a shot at the sign hanging above him, causing a barrel that's on fire to tumble onto him, setting him ablaze. Comrade, along with Dutch and some other officers, arrive at the scene. Making our way through the back alley, we turn to see 2 men watching us through a fence. It's already been made obvious that something much larger than us is going on behind the scenes, but the confirmation of a group hiding in the shadows takes this to an even higher level than what we thought before. Are they the ones on the other end of the walkie, or is it someone or something else? We finally make it to where the homeless man was killed. While our fellow officer doesn't think this particular case is worth digging too far into...
Evidence of what? Any 2-bit sleuth can tell the guy burnt to death when this barrel fell over.
We still check for evidence of any foul play. Looking around, we enter a store at the furthest end to see if any witnesses had seen what happened. Judging by the inside of this place, it seems to be owned by a very spiritual person. We can't seem to find anyone in here, so we go to leave, until we get a good spook by someone named Magic Man. We ask if he saw anything go down outside of his store, although he understandably can't give us anything of note on account of him being blind.
Oh, sorry. If you don't mind me being so blunt, you seem to get around well for a blind guy.
The spirits guide me along the path I should be traversing.
Like I said before, he is especially in touch with his spiritual side, so before we can leave, he uses that connection to give us guidance on where to look for more evidence.
Detective, you might want to comb over your barbecue scene one more time. You should be keeping an eye out for the sign.
Returning to the scene of the crime, we inspect the fallen sign, finding a bullet hole. Camardi correctly deduces that the shooter was on the fire escape of the building on the opposite side. Climbing up, we enter a horror sequence reminiscent of the ones from Bloodwash. Taking out our gun, we explore the building. It's painfully obvious that something isn't right. Exploring further, we come across some depraved people who are out to get us.
Anyway, I started blasting. Bang! Bang!
Comrade defends himself against them, clearing out the building, going through all of that just to find a man who doesn't seem quite in the right state of mind to tell us anything of use. While that sequence was cool and all, we have to leave, so we go out the way we came in. But something isn't right. We continue down this corridor until something from the shadows consumes us. Comrade wakes up. The Magic Man had taken care of him after finding him passed out.
I was taking my nightly stroll and found you face down in the gutter, Mr. Detective. The stress getting to you.
Something isn't right. This killer, these murders, the whole goddamn city. Something isn't right.
The sniper killer is already on his next mission. There's people camping out by this river. We can't risk having any witnesses, so we take them out one by one. There's not much to say here, as this section is really just here to pad time. Reaching our destination, we're tasked with taking out some students who have recently graduated. Besides the apartment level from earlier, this is probably my favorite level, aesthetically speaking. I like the gothic vibes of the cemetery, and honestly, it would have suited a lot more of the game. These people are throwing a post-graduation get-together.
School's out! Forever? Oh no.
They aren't exactly thrilled that we're crashing their party, although a guy like the sniper killer understandably doesn't fit in at a scene like this.
Hey, what you looking at, creep? Name's Blade, so you best stay out of my way, okay?
As we walked in, you had the option to lock the gate behind you so people couldn't escape the cemetery. I like the attention to detail, but it's also super morbid. Making me shut these people in myself really made me feel like a sicko. We eliminate the targets, fulfilling the mission. As we make our escape, we run into someone familiar, the creepy guy we met on the bus from Bloodwash.
Well, hello. Visiting an old friend as well? Or perhaps you're... Never mind.
It's ambiguous as to who he's visiting here at the cemetery. Maybe the Womb Ripper was buried here, succumbing to her wounds after the end of the last game. Who knows?
Oh, nice walkie. I'm certain you hear all sorts of interesting things through it. Ta!
Returning to the house, we check the answering machine again. Jeff has gotten desperate for us to answer.
Hey, pal. I really wish you'd call me back. I'm not sure exactly how much time is left. Things are getting way out of control. I don't think I'll have many more chances to reach you. Hope you're doing okay. See ya.
Looking around, we notice that the shower is leaking, so we go to the shed to retrieve a tool to fix it. A grave has been dug in the backyard. It's almost like we're preparing for something. We enter the shed, and our weird neighbor gives us another surprise visit.
Hello there, neighbor. Not in a good mood, neighbor. I guess I wouldn't be either. Home repairs can be a real pain in the keister. Looks like you have it all under control, though. Fixing leaks. Aren't we all doing that? Day in and day out, in a way.
Cryptic speech aside, this guy seems to know more about us than he's leading on. After we fixed the leak, we check the paper. A suspect has been taken into custody. Obviously, they have the wrong guy, so who could that be? There's a knock at the door. Someone has left us a gift. Opening it, we find a note that reads, "You let it in." It's become clear that this sniper killer case is bigger than some crazy guy. It's almost like something otherworldly has taken hold of us. The walkie instructs us to head to a trailer park, so grabbing our rifle once again, we get on our way. We resume control of Camardi inside the police station. We make our way into the locker room to grab our cigarettes. Something is clearly wrong here. We see a creature slither away. Either Camardi is losing his mind, or this force of evil we're fighting is getting tired of hiding. Things go back to normal, for now. Camardi grabs his cigarettes from his locker, getting spooked again by Dutch.
Jesus Christ, you just about gave me a heart attack.
He met us back here to let us know that some guys came to the station looking for us.
There was a couple of guys at the station earlier. They were looking for you. They looked real serious. Black suits, sunglasses, probably feds. Just what are we getting into, Comedy? Your name is on all the sniper killer reports, which is why they're probably looking for you.
As concerning as that is, now the chief wants us to meet him in his office. We do not want to keep him waiting, so we go to meet with him right away. It seems that the bodies of the people we shot had never been found.
We sent an officer and an EMT crew where you stated they were. They didn't find a soul. Not even any evidence of a fight.
So after the chief reprimands us for possibly being a crazy person shooting at nothing, we're ordered to go interrogate the individual who's taken in as a suspect.
Hello?
Of course, it's him.
What were you doing out there?
Admiring the stars, listening to the dead.
We try our best to ask him questions, but as you can probably guess, he's as cryptic and confusing as he's always been. However, he does confirm that we're not the only ones aware of what's happening around us.
You better start making sense.
Or what, Detective? There are much larger things happening around us than you realize.
Sit down. You're a nut job. Get out of here. You don't have anything useful to say and are wasting my time.
We return to Camardi's office with not much to go on, although we do get an important detail out of an item that belonged to the sniper killer. He smokes the same kind of cigarettes as Camardi. While it seems rather insignificant now, this is a crucial clue as to what kind of person we're dealing with. The sniper killer is on his way to the trailer park, but a construction site is blocking the way. We do what we've always done. That is, taking out anyone who gets in our way. This is where the main issue of this game starts to appear. From this level onward, it's fairly common to experience bugs. The most notable one being a bug where NPCs will freeze and it's impossible to kill them. Luckily, after a quick restart, everything should work. Taking out the construction workers, we reach the trailer park. And this time, the excuse to eliminate these people is that they're Satanists who are infiltrating the government. This is probably one of the more creative parts of the game, next to the final level. Before we execute our plan to take them out, we have to find ways to scare all of them back into their homes, meaning disrupting them during their extracurricular activities. After it's all been done, we're told to climb up a treehouse so we can get a better shot at an exposed gas tank. Camardi doesn't even have words for the sniper killer's most recent massacre. There's a knock outside of our office. The tape has been delivered, so we see if we can find anything useful on it. Camardi's visions have only progressed further. The tape proves useless other than a glimpse of a creepy figure. We find ourselves surrounded by what I can only describe as ghosts, who share a striking resemblance to the neighbor of the sniper killer. The chief visits us in our office. He basically tells us to get a grip, because we need to be at the parade along with the rest of the force to lend protection for not only the citizens, but also the mayor, who will also be attending. We swap back to the sniper killer for the final time. We're about to enact the final plan of whoever is behind the walkie-talkie. According to the walkie, the mayor is the Antichrist himself. So after giving us our instructions, we start our final mission of destroying this supposed evil. Following the red balloons, we meet with a mysterious figure hiding in the sewers, in what might be a thinly veiled reference to Pennywise. The creepy guy in the sewer provides us with some C4, so we can cause a distraction when the time is right.
Place these on the pig's wagon around the corner. After you take the shot, I'll detonate these babies.
Walking around, we can even spot Camardi along with Dutch and the chief. Taking a look inside the church courtyard, we use this kid to distract the nun who's guarding a key that we need. Unlocking a gate, we climb up the side of the church, taking out a priest through the window. By complete chance, it seems like we happened to catch him while he was preoccupied with something else. We make our way through the church while causing even more destruction. Finally reaching the top, we're ordered to take out the mayor. Before we can do that, though, we have to take out the police snipers that are stationed on the rooftops. After eliminating the snipers, we finally finish what we came here to do. With that, we swap back to Camardi. An officer alerts us that the sniper killer is getting away. As explosions go off from the C4, we run over to where he was last seen. The killer nearly runs us over as he escapes. With no time to waste, Dutch picks us up in his car, and we follow our suspect back to his house. We put together a plan to catch the guy in his house. Dutch goes through the front, while we gain our entrance via the cellar door in the back. Making our way through the basement, we notice a pile of mail addressed to someone by the name of Jeffrey Gabriel. This is no doubt the same Jeffrey that has been leaving all of those voicemails. Traversing the basement, we make our way upstairs, checking the answering machine one final time.
Hey, pal. Looks like I'm not getting through to you. This will be the last chance I get to reach you. I really hope you can find a way to call me back. If not, then I guess... I guess this is goodbye.
Jeff seems to have finally lost the hope that he had for the sniper killer, finally realizing that he's never going to get through to him. Exploring some of the rooms, we find a notebook filled with incoherent scribbles, the one identifiable drawing being some kind of monstrous head. Turning around, the sniper killer tries to catch us off guard. Lucky for us, this isn't Camardi's first rodeo, and he finally manages to take out this monster that he's been chasing all this time.
We got him.
In complete shock that we actually managed to pull it off, we go to look for Dutch, taking us upstairs. We walk into what I can only describe as a nightmare. The ghostly faces of who I presume are the slain victims of the killer stare at us through prison doors. A monster's waiting for us. We follow it through a portal as it tries to escape. At the moment, it doesn't matter if this is even real or not. The current mission is to defeat the thing once and for all. This boss is pretty simple but fun. It progresses in sections, most of which play almost like whack-a-mole. After defeating its final form, a portal opens behind us, and we step through. With that, the credits roll. This isn't the end though. The real end serves as an epilogue. After the events of the game, Camardi is admitted to a psych ward, and Dutch has come to check up on us. We seem to be in some kind of psychosis, and the doctor doesn't seem to have much hope that Camardi will ever snap out of it.
He doesn't seem to be in shock. He just seems...
What?
Well, empty. There's just no trace of himself at all.
We're left alone, and just when you think it's over, a bullet rolls under the door. The room now consumed in a green light. Looking down, we see a familiar walkie-talkie beside us. So, what even happened in this game? If you look online, you'll find a lot of different theories as to what this game is actually about. As for myself, I have a theory that I think is pretty solid. We'll start with the walkie-talkie. Who was on the other end? The simple answer would be that the monster we saw was behind everything, but in actuality, I believe that it was the men in black that had been keeping an eye on Camardi. I think that the monster is a demon that has a taste for blood, possessing individuals who are capable of satiating that hunger. I think those guys in suits are a part of the government, and they assist the monster by communicating with the possessed, and giving them instructions on how to fulfill the demon's murderous wishes. As for the sniper killer himself, given his expertise with his rifle, it's safe to assume that he has some sort of combat training, proving as a useful asset to the demon. Some argue that Camardi and the killer are the same person, but I disagree. I think the similarities between the two, those being the shared brand of cigarettes and the efficiency with firearms, are simply there to show the kind of person that the demon is looking for. The sniper killer is very much his own person, and after finding the mail that belonged to Jeff inside the killer's house, it only makes sense that Jeff and the killer are the same person. After Jeff was possessed, he either left voicemails for himself in hopes that it would eventually snap him out of his possession, or somehow a part of himself is still there, and it's manifesting through the answering machine, trying to escape. After Camardi shot Jeff, the demon transferred between the two, making Camardi the new sniper killer, explaining the state that he's shown to be in during the epilogue. The demon was never truly defeated, leaving the door open for a sequel. Maybe next time we'll see Dutch play the role of the hero, fighting to get his friend back. Something that I think is interesting is one of the collectible comic books in Bloodwash has a strikingly similar premise. The ending even ends with the transfer of a possession after someone shoots somebody else. While I don't think this shared connection has any real implications for the story, I wouldn't be surprised if this served as the main inspiration for the plot of Sniper Killer. Sniper Killer served as a great sequel to its predecessor, improving not just on the gameplay, but also the story. While I think it suffers due to its short length and lack of depth, if you're looking for a spooky crime thriller, this should scratch that itch. I'm looking forward to seeing what the devs do in the future. I would love to see them perfect what they've been experimenting with these couple of games. I appreciate all of you watching. I know this video was different than the last few, but this video analysis format is something I've been meaning to return to for a while now. And if you made it this far, make sure to let me know in the comments what you thought of it, and tell me if you agree or disagree with my theory about the game. With that said, I appreciate all of you, and thank you for watching.